What's up, traders? So SoFi just released their earnings and their earnings were amazing. And so we'll look at the highlights and the things that actually matter for the business and where it's going from here and some potential trades within the Moomoo platform. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Rashad. I am a full-time options trader and I provide for my entire family with the money that I make from the stock market. Now, if you could do me a very, very huge favor and go ahead and smash that like button. And do remember that this is not financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any equities or options contracts. Now, first things first, you know I'm going to start with a word from God that has to do with money, wealth building, or business. And today's word comes from Proverbs 21:5, and it says, "The plans of the diligent lead to as surely as haste leads to poverty." All right, quite simply, typically wealthy people plan ahead for anything or anything that could possibly happen. And others don't, and they sit around and make excuses as to why things didn't go their way. You know, my football coach used to say, excuses are the tools of the weak and incompetent. They build monuments of nothingness and bridges to nowhere. Those who specialize in them will seldom amount to anything. And so do yourself a huge favor, and no matter what aspect of life it is for you, make sure that you plan ahead accordingly so you can be led to profit. And speaking of people who are clearly profiting, I have to shout out a few members of the Trader Freedom community. And so Benjamin here says, Uptober in full swing. We can see he's made $5,581 for the month thus far, up almost 13%. So that is amazing. Shout out to you, Benjamin. And then Hector says, what happens when you hold and don't fold? And then he shows this screenshot here and shows that he is up $825 on this trade. Now, this specific trade was a trade that went against us at the beginning. However, we quickly pivoted and used ways to turn it into a winning trade because, as you know, it's never about how you start, it's about how you finish. And so shout out to you, Hector, for showing what happens when you hold and you don't fold. But if you know anybody who would like to join a cool community, tell them about the Trader Freedom community. The link is below in the description. You'll get full access to my trades as soon as I answer them. And we have strategies all the way from 0 DTE for our day traders, all the way up to monthly income strategies for our individuals who are a little bit more busy. Secondly, you'll have access to my entire options framework via the Trader Freedom course. You'll get access to ask me questions at any given time. And lastly, you'll be within a community of other traders who all have the exact same goal. And so if you do know anybody, or if that's you, come join us. The link is below in the description. But with that, let's get down to business. Now, as we know, SoFi just released earnings this morning, and it was amazing. And so what I need you to do is anytime a company that you like has earnings, never rely on the news articles and what the news articles say. Because the news articles can be very political when it comes to the title and the wording that they choose based on if it's a company that they like or not. An example of this would be the news article saying ABC company only grew by 23% in the quarter. Is it going downhill from here? Well, typically growing by 23% is a good thing. However, if you just read the title, it would imply that the company is dying. So what I like to always do is I actually go to the actual investor presentation, and you can find this on the website of all of your favorite companies. Just type in ABC company investor relations page and you'll find this, right? And so we can go through here and we can see all of the things that SoFi has done. However, I've already gone through it and I've taken out some of the things that I like for this quarter. And so let's go ahead and discuss. All right, so here are my top 8 reasons SoFi could keep rising after quarter 3 of 2025. First off, they had record revenue this quarter, up 38% year over year to now $950 million for the quarter, with 50% of that being fee-based, right? So the revenue is increasing, and that is exactly what we like to see. Now, secondly, they had their 8th straight profitable quarter. And that just shows us that their business model is very sustainable. They had $139 million in net income, which would give them about 14% margins. So that is good. They had record new members. Well, this should have been a plus, not a minus, but 905,000, bringing their total to 12.6 million. So they are growing very rapidly. I believe last quarter they did like 800 something thousand new members, and now they've done 905,000 during this current quarter. So the advertising that they are using is definitely working. And so very soon they could have a quarter where they do over 1 million new members during that 3 months. And that's exactly what I like to see. And then they had diversified loan growth. Their loans grew by 37% this quarter. And so they are allowing even more members to borrow money, which is exactly how banks make money. And then they had savings-driven deposit growth, which now totals $33 billion that their customers have sitting in their savings accounts or whatever other accounts And those are all just funds that SoFi can turn around and issue out loans to other members in order to get that interest income. All right, and they had really, really good, strong loan performance. Their CNLs, which CNLs stand for cumulative net loss, and it's more so a key metric for evaluating the profitability and the quality of a portfolio of loans, but theirs was only 4.1%. And so they do a really good job of determining if a potential borrower is a good candidate for the loan to begin with. So that is very, very good to see. All right. Next, they have a really good balance sheet. All right. They now have 7.2 billion in tangible book value. Intangible book just means the company's physical assets minus their liabilities. And so when you do that calculation, they have 7.2 billion. And so they are in a great credit position. All right. And then last but not least, they raised their fiscal year guidance for 2025. And so anytime that a company raises their guidance, they're saying, hey, whatever we told you we were going to make last time, scratch that. We're going to make even more than that. And so it shows you that the company has even more confidence with how their product or service is performing. And so with all of that information, let's go ahead and head on into the Moomoo platform. But first, I have to give a huge shout out to the sponsors of this video, Moomoo. Now, beyond just being an amazing brokerage and one that has tools way better than most brokerages that I know, right now they have one of the most amazing sign-up offers as well. When you open up an account using the link below in the description, not only can you get up to $1,000 of NVDA stock, but you can also get up to an 8.1% APY on your idle funds. And that is just crazy. But what was just added, they added in an additional $100 cash reward. When you open up an account using my link below in the description, you will not find this anywhere else. So make sure that you take advantage of this. But on top of all of that, their mobile platform is next level. Taking a look at their mobile app, so you can see here, you can see a lot of general information such as earnings and earnings calendars and earnings beats and economic calendars. However, what I like most is this investment theme. So if we click on investment themes, here they categorize stocks based on what they're impacted by. And so what I like most is this one that's called Nancy Pelosi Portfolio. Now, if you're not familiar, Nancy Pelosi is a US Congresswoman, and she seems to always select the right stocks right at the right time. And so Moomoo conveniently put all the stocks that she is currently investing in right here on this list for you to see. And so if you just wanted to follow what Nancy Pelosi is doing, you could follow this investment theme in Moomoo. But go ahead, check it out. The link is below in the description. You can get up to 60 free stocks, and you can only get that with this link. So go ahead and click it, and you can thank me later. All right, so here we have SoFi's chart, and I'm recording this pre-market. And so what you can't see right now is that SoFi is up about 4% and is currently about $31 as we speak. Now, if you recall from the last video that I posted about SoFi, we saw that huge gamma exposure at $30. And so what I said was, if it could get over $30 and close above $30, then we could see $30 being that new point of support, at least for the short term. We don't know what crazy things will happen in the world, but barring any craziness, $30 could be a new level of support. All right. And even if it does have some sort of a downturn, we can see right here at this $25 level that would be a level of support as well. All right. But obviously, SoFi just had amazing earnings. And so there's going to be a lot of buyers that are coming in, as we can see right now, as the stock price is $31. And so hopefully you're in the community and you took advantage of all the trades that we did on SoFi over these last few weeks to get prepared for their earnings. And you've made a ton of money with me. But if not, then what could we do from here? Well, I would love to enter into some poor man covered calls on SoFi. However, I typically use a buying strategy shortly after a pullback. And SoFi has obviously not had a pullback in here recently, although it did have a small one in early October where it went from $30 to $25. And so those are the times where I use buying strategies. However, now that the stock is back up towards the highs, I would probably prefer to use short puts in order to collect some consistent and reliable income, all while giving myself a nice little margin of error in case it does have a small pullback. All right, so let's go ahead and head to the options screen. But before we do that, I love using this trend projection tool in the Moomoo platform. And what it does is it kind of compares what SoFi's chart is looking like right now, and it looks for the next similar chart from another stock, and it looks at what that stock did moving forward. And so it tries to predict what SoFi stock could do moving forward. So let's go ahead and select this trend projection button. And so it's showing that a very similar chart was this ticker symbol STVN, and we can see it shows about an 84% similarity in charts. And so if we go ahead and click this button here, it really just kind of shows SoFi really consolidating from here. All right, looks like it may move a little higher and then it just kind of consolidates. All right, so this is a cool tool to use. Obviously, it's not an end all be all, but it's a nice little thing to look at when also using several other data points. All right, and so let's go ahead to the options chain. All right, and so from here, I want to go out a little further. I want to get at least probably some monthly income because they just had earnings. And so the implied volatility is going to crush, which is going to bring options premiums down. And so you may want to go out a little further in order to get a good amount of premium. And so I'd probably come out here, I don't know, to this date that's 24, 31, or 38 days out from now. And so let's go ahead and select this 38-day expiration. And looking at the expected move, it shows plus or minus $5. And so it roughly expects the range to be anywhere between $25 to $35 for SoFi by this expiration date that is 38 days out from now. And really you come down to this $25 strike and get a pretty good amount of premium between $86 to $90 per contract. But what if just after the earnings, you're very, very bullish on SoFi, even more so now than before? So then maybe we'll go up to about a 0.30 delta. So maybe we'll come up to this $27 strike and we'll sell that one and we'll get anywhere between $143 to $152 right here, right now per contract for agreeing to buy the shares of SoFi at $27 if the stock price were to drop below our strike by the expiration date. So I'll go ahead and select that. And from here, we can select however many contracts we want to do. Now make sure you do not over leverage yourself. All right. Only do the amount of contracts that your account can handle. But let's say for this example, I want to start off with like 5 of them. And if I come up to the P&L curve, we can see I'll make $737 right here, right now for selling these contracts. And if the stock price goes up, then great, we just keep the money. If it stays the same, we just keep the money. If the stock price goes down, we keep the money. However, if it drops below our strike price of $27, then we start to make less and less and less. But then our break even is all the way down here at $25, which would be around the expected move. All right. And so if the stock price were to continue to go down from there, then the contracts will become worth less and less and less. However, we are fine because we were fine with purchasing the shares at the strike price that we selected for the stock that we selected. All right. So if the stock price goes down, we get a company that we really like for a discount and we got paid to wait around. And if the stock price doesn't go down, then we just got paid to wait around. So either way, you're getting paid to wait around. And that is the amazingness of selling puts on a company that you will really like. All right. And so that was an example of a trade that could possibly be done. Of course, if you're in the Trader Freedom community, then you'll see my actual trades the very moment that I enter them. But that is it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below if you plan on trading SoFi, what you think of their earnings, and what do you think that they could be doing from here. But that is it for this video. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.